We are in Central Florida for the Space Coast Birding and Wildlife Festival. Earlier in the week, we found a lot of incredible birds and enjoyed a lot of different festival activities. On our last day in Central Florida, we had more activities planned and started out by attending an identification course. We're at a legendary location, Dixie Crossroads. It's a restaurant that's actually owned by the family of the founder of the festival. So this is where David Simpson's talk on Shorebird ID is happening. And Shorebird ID is something that I would love to get more info on, especially out in this part of the country. So we're gonna go check out some of that talk and then we'll see where we go from there. We took notes during David's talk, soaking up the information to use for the part of the workshop that would be out in the field. Just got done with the talk portion of the workshop and I'm super excited to try to identify shorebirds now. David did a great job of explaining the details of the identifications, what to expect from the behavior, somewhat even on the location where the bird will be. And we also got info on gulls and terns that might be out here too. So now we're headed to Blackpoint Drive where we're gonna get a live look at shorebird identification. I feel like in the past I've wanted to do this kind of thing and every time I get out there I'm just like, I have no idea what any of this is because it's always distant and you just don't see things the same way as up close, but I'm excited to do this with someone that really knows their stuff about the shorebirds of the region, and I'm hoping it'll be really fun and really good for us to get this kind of experience. We arrived at Blackpoint Wildlife Drive, where there was great shorebird habitat. David and other birders brought out their scopes, and we started picking out the nuanced differences in the birds.
We've got a nice collection of long-billed dowitchers out here. They're feeding mostly out in the water, doing the sewing machine-like motion, the classic probing motion there. Grayish chest, white belly, little hunchback. They say swallowed a grapefruit-type look, big chest, hunchback. And also mixed in there is Wilson snipe, which is very similar in shape and size. A little bit shorter legged than the dowitchers. Same kind of probing motion, but a little bit more stuttery. It's more uniform, constant with long-billed. Snipe kind of tends to do this little hesitant type thing, and of course snipe has the streaking on the breast and the bold stripes on the back, the black back with the pale stripes on the back, but otherwise very similar. So really interesting opportunity to see both of them together like this, because that's one you always try. They look very similar in shape and feeding behavior and in flight and all that. And so we're getting them flying around here. You can see the long-billed dowitcher with the little white wedge on the rump, and you can see the feeding behavior and the shape. They do tend to sort out a little bit by habitat. Snipe are more inclined to be on the mud. Long-billed dowitchers out in the water, but really neat situation. We have one lesser yellow-legs in here. I really wish we have a greater and a lesser yellow-legs in here for comparison, but that's what we've got right here.
I have a pair of long-billed dowitchers right in front of me, and one of the things that David said was it looks like they swallowed a grapefruit, and that's really apparent in these individuals. So it's awesome to have the ID workshop where you can see the pictures of things and then get to try it out in the field and even consult with experts and say, hey, is this what I'm seeing?
This was an incredible experience, being able to be out here and actually take a look at the shorebirds with someone as knowledgeable as David. He just knew so much about the ID points, where to find stuff, so definitely something I would recommend if you ever get the chance to take one of these shorebird ID workshops. So I thought that was excellent. Finally found out that all of these are long-billed dowitchers for sure, which is great to know, and I'm definitely going to brush up on my shorebird ID more often now because I feel like there is hope that I can do a better job identifying them. After spotting not only a lot of shorebirds, but also wading birds such as herons, egrets, and storks, we moved on to our next activity, a kayak tour. The location happened to be Haulover Canal, a place where flamingos were known to spend time. We're at the place where our kayak trip is going to launch from and the place where the flamingos are hanging out. We heard that the flamingos were sighted this morning, so we're hoping that they're going to be there, and we're hoping we can get a look now even though our kayak trip doesn't start for another hour 45-ish minutes. But if we can get a look at these flamingos and just check them off for Florida, that'd be pretty cool. We looked out toward Mullet Head Island where the flamingos tended to stay and noticed two pink shapes. Got the two American flamingos way out there, but it still counts. I actually looked through a scope and saw them okay. Finally got them in the camera as well, so I did get some really long distance video of them. But what an amazing bird that you can really only get down in Florida most of the time, and it's super rare in most other places. So awesome find on the American flamingos. I feel good that we were able to check them off the list.
They're way out there. I can see how being in a kayak would be much better for the views. So I'm glad we got them. That's a pretty iconic species that you can find sometimes here in Florida.
With our spare time, we looked around the canal a little more. Then, it was time for our tour with Springs to Sea Outdoor Adventure and Education. Ordinarily, we would kayak out to Mullet Head Island, but on this day the wind was too strong. So instead, our guide Brian took us around the mangroves. During our tour, we spotted alligators, different types of fish, and even got some up-close looks at jellyfish.
You hold it back up to the sun, give it a little sway. You can see little stripes down the side.
Oh yeah.
Every once in a while you see a little zip.
Yeah,
Rainbow.
yeah.
That's not the biolume. That is sunlight refracting through that thing like a prism. Those stripes are 8 rows of little cilia that they row themselves along with.
In terms of birds, the mangroves and nearby sandbars were home to fish crows and wading birds, with the most numerous being snowy egrets. After a few hours on the tour, we made it back to land and caught up with Brian and the owner of Springs to Sea, Rebecca.
We are Springs to Sea Outdoor Adventure and Education, and we are operating kayak tours for the Space Coast Birding and Wildlife Festival. This time of year is mostly birders that go out on the kayaks.
What species can you expect to get out here usually?
Ooh, wow.
A shorter list would be the species that you won't see.
Yeah, we saw white and brown pelicans today, rosy and spoonbills. We got some celebrity flamingos that we saw today. The usual suspects, herons and egrets and cormorants, gulls, terns. I've had people come out here and get 3 or 4 life birds like in a half an hour.
Frigate birds.
Yeah, we see magnificent frigate birds a couple times a year.
All right.
Eagles.
Last one. Why should people that come visit this area for birding make a stop down here and take a kayak tour?
Because this is the only way, so stopping by here and taking a kayak tour in the refuge is the only way to experience Mullet Head Island. Because without the kayaks or a motorized boat, there's not really any other way to get to Mullet Head Island. So if you want to see all of the birds together in one spot in harmony, then you take a kayak tour out.
Already having a pretty full day, we had one more stop we wanted to make at the Canaveral National Seashore. Just got done with the kayak tour. We didn't actually get to go to Mullet Head Island because the wind was too stiff coming from that direction that you're supposed to kayak in, so it would have been very difficult, very choppy, and probably a little bit dangerous to go there. But we did get to explore some of the areas around the mangroves, which was really cool, and it gave you that quintessential Florida experience. So if anybody's going to be around this area and wants that Florida experience of getting to go through the mangroves or getting to go to Mullet Head Island if it's a day that's nice and clear, I would highly recommend it. The guide we had, Brian, was really good, really nice, and had a ton of knowledge about the stuff. You could tell he was out there all the time. We got to see sea turtles, alligators, lots of wading birds, kingfishers, large fish in the water. So it was just a unique experience that was a little more hands-on, I would say. Now we're going to see if we can go to the National Seashore and get northern gannet, which is a species I've needed for way too long. Before even getting to the ocean, we had the chance to encounter one of our favorite small mammals. Armadillo sighting on the way in. Always love to see those. They're adorable. I love their big ears that they have, and obviously that armored shell makes them very distinctive. A really unique creature that lives in the southern part of the country. We got to one of the parking lots that had a walkway leading to the ocean. What do you think our odds are?
I think they're pretty good. It just depends how much time we spend out here. So I'd say we probably have like an hour or two. So we're just gonna scan the horizon and see if we can see one flying low over the water. I've never seen an adult, so that would be cool to find, but we'll take anything we can get.
We climbed the stairs and got our first looks at the beach, immediately seeing birds. First of all, there's a little flock of birds here, some ring-billed gulls, laughing gulls, and it looks like one, maybe sanderling, I haven't gotten a look at yet, but there's one peep down there. We are gonna scan this whole ocean to hopefully see a gannet flying by. I don't know how good our odds actually are. It's gonna be a ways out there if it's here, but people have been saying that this is the place to go for northern gannet in this area, so I think this is our best chance. We went down to the sand and scanned the horizon. Right away, we spotted our target birds. This is absolutely unbelievable. I thought it was going to be a lot harder to find these gannets. People told us they were going to be really far out. I was thinking scope view, barely visible, but they're totally within range to actually get a really decent look at. Not only are there juveniles out here, there's actually a few adults too. We saw one fly by. So we're probably going to watch for more of them, chill here for a little while, see if there's any other birds, but unbelievable northern gannet experience, my lifer.
This might be one of the easiest lifers Ryan's gotten this whole trip. Back when I tried to find gannet in a beach in Florida closer to the Panhandle, you had to walk way far out, and they're just here right away. And they're doing their awesome plunge, so they'll go way up and they'll just go straight down and dive into the water. So that's what we're looking for with these gannets, is for them to be doing that iconic hunting. I was trying to get a picture or a video of them doing it because it's so unique and so fun to watch.
We watched as the gannets went back and forth over the ocean. We were there long enough to see them hunting with their signature dive into the water. Come down for a dive, yep. While on the beach, you'll probably notice that there's a lot of other birds that are congregated on the sand, such as gulls, such as shorebirds. We have nice little flocks here of ring-billed gulls and laughing gulls. You can tell those ring-billed gulls apart because they have yellow feet and that distinctive ring on the bill. There's some juveniles which are a little bit more dark colored on the wings, and then there's some that are adults that are more just gray on the back. So you can see a lot of cool things here, and there's always something whimsical about those birds that like to hang out on the beach around the people and around the tide coming in. Feeling really good about our gannet experience, we went back to the hotel. That was really cool to get those looks at the northern gannets. The way that everyone made it sound, it seemed like they were going to be so far out you could barely see them, but you could actually get pretty good detail on them. And we even saw some of the adults, which are more colorful in my opinion because they have the black wingtips, a little bit of blue in there, some tints of orange. So you can see more colors on those birds than you can the juveniles. And we got a couple that were pretty close in. So we got to see that, got to see them dive. Feels like a good experience, even though it was a pretty short experience at the beach because the conditions out here are not that pleasant. It was way colder right on the front of the ocean than it was in the interior. Our day was highlighted by interesting festival experiences and capped off with another life bird. Fortunately for us, we had more days left in Florida, but we would be relocating to the more southern part of it. But that's for another video. If you enjoyed this one, take a look at one of our other videos from Florida. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.